It's good.
Uh,
You're back.
yes.
You're back. There you go.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes. Des, I was saying this morning, we'll see you at the red carpet because nothing will happen today. We have to say, although we wanted this to happen, it is still a bit of a shock how quickly this is just bang. Next morning, he's just gone, and it broke really quickly. Like it wasn't drawn out like it might. There's discussions.
Well, it was weird, wasn't it? Because there was. I was just sort of saying there was literally. I would conservatively say maybe like 2 minutes of they're thinking about it, and then it was no, he's gone.
Yeah,
it was that
gone.
quick.
He's gone. Had to happen. Finally, Ineos have made this decision. They shouldn't even have waited until this long. They should have done it in the last international break, because basically all we've done now is go through that international break when we could all see what was going to happen, and it did happen, and we had to play 3 extra games for no reason, when they could have been planning. Now, to be honest though, it'll be interesting to see how quickly they recruit a new manager, because if that's fairly quick, then actually we have to probably give them the benefit that in the last international break they were probably planning that too.
Well, that's what I was just sort of saying. It may be, that I was saying to you yesterday, that theory about maybe again that last international break they weren't ready. They've now spent the next several weeks getting ready. Yesterday forces their hand, but with what they're saying in their statement, it would suggest to me that the idea of Ruud van Nistelrooy being the interim head coach for the rest of the season does not look like that's the case. It looks like they're looking to get someone in fairly quickly, and maybe it is a Xavi, maybe it is a Terzic, maybe it is a Nagelsmann's been linked. Maybe they've got the kind of interest that they maybe didn't have a couple of weeks ago, and that's why they've now come to this decision.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm looking at it now thinking, okay, we're angry at that, and I'm trying to take it into context here. We're annoyed that they didn't strike sooner, but actually, when you think of it, the fact that they've struck so quickly this morning with no leaks or nothing, essentially, and like you said, that wording of that statement isn't. They would just say if they didn't have someone ready, they would say Ruud van Nistelrooy would just be the thing to the end of the season until a new manager is appointed. But they've left it open, i.e. they're trying to find that person now, and they want them to come into situ now. So, look, the final straw that broke the camel's back is the players' fault. The players were disgusting yesterday, and they basically made that result. If we'd have won today, we wouldn't have got sacked today. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
It's because we lost yesterday. And the way we lost yesterday was on the players. That was their fault. So the final nail in the coffin was put in by the players. Yeah. However, the overall responsibility for a team being 14th isn't one isolated game. We said this morning. This has been going on for ages. We've broke every metric going, every record going. And for the people that were hanging on being positive and telling us don't be negative and you're too toxic, why? There's your answer. Argue with Ineos now, mate. Argue with Ineos now, because they're the ones who are making the decisions, and they're the ones who have made that decision based on all of the evidence, mate. This isn't a knee jerk. Ineos have actually had to cast a pie on their face, by the way, because they've gone in the summer and made him dance to the tune of over £200 million.
Well,
to back him.
Someone says it in the chat there, and it's true in the sense of VAR, and the players may have cost him his job. But his job was gone a long time ago, basically.
It was gone a long time. He's been in there for too long.
It was the final nail in the coffin, but he was already dead and pretty much buried at that point, And
100%.
Just as a bit of an update, because obviously when these things happen, when we go live, obviously all the journalists start getting in. Mike Keegan's just tweeted saying something similar to what I saw Stephen Railston from the Manchester Evening News say, which is, those within Old Trafford say Ten Hag decision was a difficult one, but unanimous. No momentum, no progress. Club took into account the poor start in the Premier League and the Europa League, could find no excuses. Put simply, they were just not seeing improvement, which is basically what we've all been saying as fans here, where it's going, the excuses of last season aren't here anymore. We're not moving forward. We're losing more than we're winning. And when you're trying to sort of ask around, going, right, can anyone explain this? And you can't really come up with any bigger explanations than why it's just not working. Then it leaves them with no choice, basically. What are they to do?
No choice, exactly. Absolutely no choice with what they was able to do. And I'm not going to do the revisionism and try and jump on a ship that I wasn't on, in terms of this has come a whole year too late. They should have done this in the summer. No, where I was at in the summer was very clear. Everyone knew where I was at. I said I think he gets a chance to turn it round. And if he doesn't prove he can turn it round, then he should be sacked. And then look how the season panned out. So I'm not going to say that this should have happened in the summer after the FA Cup. In hindsight, yes, but I wasn't in that camp, so I'm not going to say that now. I do think, though, when was that Spurs game? 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago now? I don't know how long.
Yeah.
For me, on my own and everyone's got different timelines. In my own personal timeline, this has happened 4 weeks too late, in my personal opinion. Obviously, there's a lot of people for after the FA Cup. They're going to be completely able to say, I said this from the summer, thank you for the FA Cup, but see you later. You've now wasted from May to now. How many months is that? 5, 6, something like that?
Well, it's certainly the start of the season, to where we are now.
Start of the season. So some people can say, from August, we should never have started the season with this manager. And on your own personal timelines, guys, in the chat, in the comments, everyone's going to do that. Everyone jumps ship at different times. It's not about that. For me personally, this has come 4 to 5 weeks too late, because after we got smashed by Spurs at home 3-0, red card or not red card, when Eric was like, I've actually X'd that game off as well, I don't count that. Yeah. Well, guess what? It counts. And we said this morning, just because we got done over by VAR yesterday, you can't wipe it away from the record, mate. We've got Leicester, Ipswich, Wolves and Palace on our tails.
And also, Flex, it kind of also, when there was a lot of criticism of that meeting during the international break, they didn't even discuss Ten Hag. It would appear now that they absolutely did. They absolutely did, and was like, right, maybe we need to do some succession planning. And what if this gets worse? What do we do? Well, if it continues to get worse, then we'll get rid of him. And that's what's happening.
And it did. Yeah, a shit draw against Fenerbahce, let's be honest. We're winning the game, and look what goes on to happen in that game. And we should have lost that game, really, on the basis of the chances. A decent... look, a semi-good win against Brentford. We celebrated it for the 90 minutes, but then next week again you lose, and you're back in 14th. Yeah. So there is nobody that can say, oh, what's the point? Now we've got to start the process again. And wake up and smell the coffee, mate. Yes, we do have to start the process again, because this process was shit. It didn't work.
Yeah,
that's it. There's and the next manager who comes in, if after 2 years there's been no improvement and we're still stagnating, he will get sacked.
Well, I've also seen this one today, and I really push back on this when people say, well, if someone comes in or under Rude, it's the same players, but they start winning games, then I'm going to be looking at the players, because I'll be like, see, you could have done it. And you go, well, that's a very simplistic way to look at it, because let's say, all right, Ruud van Nistelrooy, let's say he does beat Chelsea at the weekend, but his management of the players, his tactical, actually, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, or just the general, again, handling of the players will probably be different to Ten Hag. So if he did it differently and he got different results, how is that necessarily then going like, the players down tools for Ten Hag? Because I don't think the difference between Ten Hag and other Man United managers is I don't think we could look at many performances we go, I tell you what, the players weren't playing for Eric. Because they were. But what his tactical setup was, it wasn't working. And if someone else comes in with different ideas, with this same group of players, I think they'll probably do better. The problem is, the better is, would that be us competing for the top 4? Would that just be getting us into the top half?